Marcus Williams never imagined that emptying trash cans at 2 a.m. would change his entire life. But on that cold Tuesday night in November, while the rest of TechVision Industries slept, he became the most important person in a company worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And he did it all in less than 30 seconds. The weight of the world sat heavy on Marcus's shoulders as he pushed his cleaning cart down the fluorescent-lit hallway of the 15th floor. His daughter Emma's birthday was in 3 days, and he'd been saving for months to buy her that telescope she'd been dreaming about. She wanted to be an astronomer, just like her late mother had been. The irony wasn't lost on Marcus that he spent his nights cleaning the offices of people who made more in a week than he did all year, while his little girl slept alone in their cramped apartment across town, staying with Mrs. Chen from next door. At 42 years old, Marcus had learned that life rarely handed out easy victories. After losing his wife Sarah to cancer 2 years ago, he'd taken the night janitor position because it paid slightly more than day shifts, and because it meant he could be there when Emma woke up for school. He'd walk her to the bus stop, catch a few hours of sleep, pick her up in the afternoon, help with homework, make dinner, and then start his shift all over again. It was exhausting. It was lonely. But it was what fathers did. That night, as Marcus approached the executive suite, he noticed something unusual. The conference room lights were still blazing, and through the glass walls, he could see at least 20 people hunched over laptops, their faces pale with stress. The company's CEO, Jennifer Park, stood at the head of the table, her normally composed demeanor cracked with visible anxiety. Papers were scattered everywhere. Coffee cups formed a small city on the mahogany table. Marcus knew he should just clean around them and move on. Don't bother the important people, that was the unspoken rule. But something made him pause. Through the glass, he could hear raised voices. "We've tried everything," a man in a wrinkled shirt shouted. "The system goes down in 4 hours, and if we can't fix this bug, we lose the entire Meridian contract. That's $100 million, gone. My team has been working for 18 hours straight," a woman added, her voice breaking. "The code is corrupted somehow. We've rewritten it 3 times. Nothing works." Jennifer Park pressed her hands against the table, her knuckles white. "This company has 800 employees depending on us. If we lose Meridian, we'll have to do massive layoffs. Families will lose their income right before the holidays." Marcus felt his chest tighten. 800 families. 800 people just like him, probably struggling with their own challenges, their own sick kids or aging parents or impossible dreams. He thought about Emma again, about the telescope, about all the nights she'd stayed up waiting for him to come home, pretending she wasn't scared of being alone. He knocked softly on the glass door. 20 exhausted faces turned toward him with irritation. A janitor. "Not now. I'm sorry to interrupt," Marcus said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I might know what's wrong." The room fell silent. Someone actually laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Listen, buddy," the wrinkled shirt man said dismissively, "unless you have a PhD in computer science, I don't think." "Let him speak," Jennifer Park said suddenly. Her eyes met Marcus's, and something passed between them. A recognition, perhaps, of one human being in crisis seeing another who wanted to help. Marcus stepped inside, feeling acutely aware of his blue janitor's uniform, the name tag with his first name only, the cleaning supplies hanging from his belt. 20 of the smartest people in the building were staring at him. "My wife," he began, his voice steadier now, "she was a software engineer before she passed. She used to talk about her work all the time. One thing she always said was that when code fails mysteriously after multiple rewrites, 90% of the time it's not the code itself." "Then what is it?" Jennifer asked, leaning forward. "It's the environment. Something in the system settings, the permissions, sometimes even the time-stamped settings on the server." Marcus walked closer to the laptop displaying the error message. "May I?" A young programmer reluctantly slid the computer toward him. Marcus scanned the screen, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. Sarah had taught him the basics over dinners and lazy Sunday mornings, never imagining her late-night coding stories would matter beyond their small apartment. "Look," Marcus pointed. "Your deployment timestamp is set to Eastern Standard Time, but your validation protocol is checking against Greenwich Mean Time. There's a 5-hour conflict. The system thinks you're trying to deploy code from the future, so it's rejecting it as a security threat." 20 people crowded around the laptop. Fingers flew across keyboards. 30 seconds later, someone gasped. He's right. Oh my God, he's right. Deploy it again, Jennifer commanded. The room held its collective breath. Then, like a sunrise after an impossibly long night, the screen flashed green. System deployed successfully. The bug was gone. The conference room erupted in cheers. People were hugging, crying, laughing with the kind of relief that only comes after escaping disaster. But Marcus had already picked up his cleaning cart, ready to slip away into the background where he belonged. Wait, Jennifer Park's voice cut through the celebration. She walked directly to Marcus, her eyes glistening. What's your name? Your full name? Marcus Williams, ma'am. Marcus Williams, she repeated, as if committing it to memory. You just saved 800 jobs. You saved this company. Do you understand that? Marcus shrugged uncomfortably. I just remembered something my wife used to say. Anyone would have. No, Jennifer interrupted firmly. Not anyone. You could have walked past this room. You were exhausted, working the night shift, probably thinking about 1,000 other things. But you stopped. You listened. You cared enough to try to help, even though you knew we might laugh at you. That's not something anyone would do. That's something special people do. The next morning, Marcus woke to 17 missed calls. When he finally reached Jennifer Park, she asked him to come to her office that afternoon. Emma came with him, clutching his hand nervously as they rode the elevator to the executive floor. What happened next became company legend. Jennifer Park offered Marcus a position as a systems consultant with a salary that made his head spin. But more than that, she announced a new company scholarship program in Sarah Williams's name, fully funding Emma's education from middle school through her PhD in astronomy. She told the entire company at an emergency meeting that afternoon about what Marcus had done, and made a declaration that would reshape TechVision's culture forever. We have been so focused on degrees and titles and resumes that we forgot something crucial, she said, her voice carrying across the packed auditorium. Every single person who works here has value. Every person has knowledge, experience, and perspectives that matter. From this day forward, no one at TechVision is just anything. Not just a janitor, not just an assistant, not just an intern. We're all essential. We all matter. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. 3 years later, Marcus Williams became TechVision's Director of Systems Innovation, a position created specifically for people who thought differently, who saw problems from angles others missed. He still started work early, but now it was to have breakfast with Emma before she headed to the advanced science program her scholarship provided. The telescope sat proudly in their new apartment's living room, but Emma's dreams had grown even bigger. On the anniversary of that November night, Marcus returned to the 15th floor with a cleaning cart, not because he had to, but because he wanted to remember. Jennifer Park found him there, and together they stood in that conference room. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you just kept walking? Jennifer asked. Marcus smiled, thinking about the 800 families who still had their jobs, about the culture of respect and inclusion that had blossomed at TechVision, about his daughter who now believed anything was possible. Every single day, he said. And every single day, I'm grateful I decided that maybe, just maybe, I had something worth sharing. Because sometimes the biggest solutions come from the most unexpected places. Sometimes the person who saves everything is the one nobody saw coming. And sometimes, kindness and courage matter more than any credential or title ever could. Sometimes, the hero is just a tired single dad who refused to walk past someone who needed help. And that, Jennifer Park often said, was the most important lesson TechVision ever learned.